Hi Lumineers, welcome to the Lighter Side Show. I'm your host, Jamie Butler, the Everyday Medium. Today we're going to be trance channeling on the topic of free will. Before we get to that though, I have a few housekeeping notes. And I do want to say, I might look loopy to a lot of you. One of the hardest challenges I have is staying present and alert before I go into trance state. Because my body is already relaxed. My mind is really just in another place. So thank you for hanging in there with me. We're going to be in Kamloops, Canada at the Akashic Ranch at the last weekend of June. And we're also going to be in New York City, July 19th and 20th. We also are getting geared up for Luma Summit in October, so keep that in the back of your mind. But do head over to Jamie Butler Medium and sign up for the newsletter if you haven't done so already. We list everything that's coming, everything that's happening, and we put out a really cute article every month. Colleen does a great job in organizing it. Thank you again. Now here's some more incredible news here at the network. My baby, my Lighter Side Network. We are coming out with new video shows and new podcasts this spring and this summer. Of course, some of your favorite shows are returning, like with Dr. Julia Spinolo, Medical Girl Mystical World, and Darshana Patel with Enlighten Up. I love those. And of course, the Lighter Side Show. And we also have new shows with Helene Salcido, who is doing Handful of Stars, palm reading. She's so amazing. And we have Nourished with Colleen McCarthy, RDN. Registered Dietitian Nutritionist. We also have our new podcasts. One is called Awakened Ananda with Priya Laki, and the other is Sanctuary, the podcast with Dr. Crystal Jones. Of course, we will still be hosting Heal Yeah podcast with Colleen Ziegler, and Mediums High with Darshana Patel and myself, and the Lighter Side Show podcast. So much content coming out. So join us this spring and summer for the release of all these wonderful things and the returning. And P.S. if you're still listening to this, the Lighter Side Network is going free. So your subscriptions are no longer needed. We'll be releasing those. And now you can tell everybody in the world to come and watch us because we're available to you online free. I think it's spelled F-R-E-E, but you can spell check me. All right, I'm delirious. I need to go trance channel. Thank you so much, Lumineers, for your subscriptions, for all your donations, every penny, every ounce of energy that you put towards us. We've used it for this very moment. I am so thrilled. Thank you. Okay, now I get to leave. It's very difficult to stay focused like that. Have a good trip, guys. See you later. I don't have the yawns. Hi, my name's Maitland, and I'm going to talk about free will.
Okay. I knew as soon as I saw that little hand. Hi, Maitland.
I know we've done a lot of work together recently, and I really love it. And you'll be getting to do a lot of work with Grace soon. There are plans in the making. For now, you have me. Hi, Lumineers. My name is Maitland. And today we're going to be talking about free will. I feel like we should cut to like some B-roll. Like of people running in the fields and doing things that they want to do. Because free will is about choice. I know that I can't touch that foot, but I can do this. I was told I can do this. Free will. And I would like to open it up and see if Colleen or Jesse have any questions, especially when I'm talking, they can come in and ask the questions. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Then I will sit still. I like being here. Free will is given to every life force. So I want to first talk about how a soul is separate. And if you're listening to this, Lumineer, I did air quotes around the word separate. By imagining that we are separate from the one source of energy or life force or prime source, it helps us lay more claim or control or identity over who we are. So there is value in the belief of feeling like an individual. But I want you to imagine that individual is not separate. Let's say if we have a bean. You can imagine whatever bean you want. And the bean is on top of the earth. So the bean, physically, if we're looking at physical matter only and not the energy, it would appear so that the bean is completely separate from the earth. So this is you, the individual, the bean. But if we put the bean on the earth, so they're touching, they're still separate, but they're touching. And the bean begins to sprout. But from the top side, it just looks like a separate bean on top of the earth. But if we were able to look into the earth, we would see the little roots coming down and kind of merging and sharing space. So you as an individual is much like the bean. On the surface of it, when we're engaging with people, you are separate, in air quotes. But the more we look on the inside or beneath the surface, you have all these cords and energy legs that are connected to all that is, to your God, if you have a religious belief system, to your gods plural, if that fits you as well, to prime source, to energy, to all that is. Okay, so now that we've kind of breached the idea that an individual is not a separate identity, but on a surface has the appearance of, I want you to imagine that every being in the world, every person, every animal, every life force that creates its own food and processes growth physically, those are the ones I'm talking about. So even plants, insects, trees, things of that nature, that they each have free will. That free will is given to the life force that has intelligence, because intelligence is where there is a consciousness running within the life force, and there are decisions to be made. And we call those decisions and choices free will. I know that a lot of people, and we're specifically just going to talk about people, want to believe that there is some governing force that helps you with how to show up and what to do and what is good and what is bad, and that you kind of can rely on it like a railing, on a steep mountain or something. There's no rails on a steep mountain. But like a safety guard net to help you or to assist you. So when I talk that there is nothing like that, I don't want you to feel like you're cut loose or free or that there's no purpose to all of this, but rather to feel that this freedom that you've received is one of the biggest values of or reasons of why you chose to incarnate into this life that you have now. And it's why you've chosen to be on this earth. When you come into a human body, you have, before arriving, picked out a few, let's say, topics, situations that you want to work on. And there is nobody above you that is saying, you must work on kindness, or you killed this person in another lifetime, so now you're going to go into this life where you are to be killed. That was really dark. There's no measurement or scale on on that part that says you have to look for something particular. It's all up to you. When you pick a life, you access your higher consciousness. I spoke a while ago on another episode trying to explain lives and past lives and incarnations and all this. And I like to have you imagine a big wheel. And this wheel has a center and it has spokes. So when you are accessing your higher consciousness, that is the center of the wheel, and it has access to all the spokes, which are your lives that you are living, because time is not linear. So there is no past life or future life. They're all happening. So there are all these spokes. Some have just a few, and some have way many, many, many. So there is no right or wrong in how many. When you access the higher consciousness, it can look at all of the lives and decide what you are gaining through knowledge, whether it's mental knowledge, emotional knowledge, or whether it's physical experience on earth, and decide what more you would like to attract. So that traditionally is what you look at when you go into a life and you say, I want a little more of this. I want to finish the storyline that I had on this spoke that I felt ended too soon. So I want to pick up where I left off. So we have some people on earth who completely remember where they came from. And some people, they completely remember where they came from, but it's like 300 years ago because time is not linear. It's not flat and straight. It's on this wheel. There is nobody who is over you saying that you must behave this way and you must go down here to learn this or that. It's only you. So you piecing it together. When you come into the life that you picked and that you designed. So we look at words like destiny. When you decide that you want to learn something, or maybe you're meeting a certain person to learn that experience or that piece of knowledge together. So you meet your soul family, your tribe, you can meet your soulmate, your twin flame to learn these things. And I will add that when you are meeting people and you've laid it into your plan, you don't always plan that meeting is going to go well. You will also plan to have struggles and strife and challenges because there's so much beauty in those. It helps you see the lesson that you want to go towards. There is absolute perfection and beauty in all the different vibrations on earth. So though you've picked out these meeting spots or these people or these circumstances or experiences or outcomes that you want to achieve in this lifetime, they are not set in stone. They will not happen if you ignore them. They won't just come at you and blindside you. When you choose to live a life, there is a requirement of participation. You participate. You show up every day and you decide that you are going to commit to your day or commit to the family or your storyline or what you feel compassionate or passionate about. So if you are living a life where you are not committing to any of that, it's called a choice and free will. And you shall not be punished for it. But at the same time, when you leave that life, you might look back and go, man, I didn't do the work that I thought I was going to do. So I'm going to do this again. And you'll want to try it on again. And you'll want to look at it one more time to see if you can figure it out or how to kind of wake yourself up to participate and be behind your eyeballs so that you can see, and to be behind your heart so that you can feel with great vulnerability and courage and be a part of what you've chosen for yourself. So when we talk about free will, it's first to understand that indeed you are not completely separate, and that there are things such as destiny, but that everything is flexible in this world. When we really think about energy, and we understand that everything is made of energy, your hair, your body, your emotions, your thoughts all have vibration, and vibration is a form of measurement of energy. And when we understand that everything is energy, I can then say, well, Lumineer, how easy is it for you to just change your mind? Just to decide that you're not going to do it that way anymore. You're not going to go to work that way. You're going to go to work this way today in your car. And you just change your mind. And it's quite easy, isn't it? Energy is not fixed. It can feel heavy, but you can always move it. You can manipulate it. You can redirect it. All it needs is your intent, your intention behind it. That's it. So if we were to say you come to Earth and you are now a separate being and you have a destiny and you have to perform to this standard, and then when you die, you're going to be graded, or we're going to weigh your heart to see how heavy it is, decide if you will come to the good place or the bad place. It's just silly to think of, because energy is so malleable that when you come to Earth, you have free will, which is you have the right to triumph over anything that you put in front of your path before you came here. Anything. Even, and I want to talk about this, but it might not sound appropriate to some people. And I don't mean to upset anyone or belittle the topic at all, but it's important, and I think it really needs to be discussed. When people choose to end their life and transition by the use of their own means, that's free will. And they are not punished for using their free will on this side. And I know that upsets a lot of people's belief systems, and it might be confusing of understanding why wouldn't they? Because you can see that as being a bad thing to do. And I want to say, for those who see the act of taking your own life as a bad thing to do, I say to you, I can tell that you really cherish life and you value it above many other things like pain or suffering. And that is the way that you choose to look at that, and I really honor that. But I hope that in just having a brief, maybe childish kind of conversation on it, that you can see that the choice that anybody makes in this world is free will, and it is neither going to be good nor bad. We could talk about all kinds of things that might get a little dark, like when people choose to take somebody else's life, or choose to have an affair, or choose to do some of these things on your earth that you deem incomprehensible and painful to even witness or experience. And those are free will options. And they can very much be parts that that person has designed in their life to experience. Because when you choose to come to Earth, it's not like where I am now. Where I am now, home or heaven or the beyond or the afterlife or whatever you want to call it, our vibrations are limited and our dimensional planes are different than yours. And our vibrational plane is limited to higher vibrational resonance. And so there is a lot that you can feel on Earth that doesn't translate to where we are. What doesn't translate to us is like jealousy, sadness, self-destruction, lies, things like that. It just doesn't work well over here. It doesn't live and survive. But it can live and survive very well where you are on Earth. And that's part of the beauty of being human and being alive. So when you experience these uncomprehendable things that people are choosing free will to participate in or to create, I want you to remember that it's part of what you signed up for to experience, and that you don't need to disconnect when other people are making choices with their free will that don't resonate with you. Because they don't resonate, it means that you yourself aren't going to follow through with something of that nature. But to ignore it or to push it away as if it doesn't exist is not helpful for the whole part of the experience on Earth. A lot of people that I've seen like to use free will almost like an excuse, or in a way a negative, or in a way as in a positive. So, they broke their contract, they're doing free will, which would be a bad thing. They're creating harm or creating low vibrational experiences or negative vibration experiences. And which doesn't mean bad. Negative is a quality of energy. And then there are those people who say, oh, well, they're using their free will and they're activating. They're doing good in the world. So I'm going to need you to not categorize, words into good or bad, or necessary or unnecessary, or risky or safety. It's more of looking at words as an experience, as seeing it as brand new each time. So when something, what you would call beautiful, or that had ease, or that had positive energy, or something that was negative energy, or that was difficult, or that had disconnect occurred, that it wouldn't trigger you to apply a like and dislike to it, but it would, rather than trigger you to build a relationship with what it is and to somehow feel it for the first time. I ask this of you so that you can connect deeper to your free will, so that when you wake up each day and you decide to participate, to be vulnerable, to be courageous, to just put your energy behind the life that you chose, and you come across something that's not aligning with you, it's not resonating, so your body is responding, and maybe your mind starts to go in a vicious cycle and wheel, and your heart is just shaking because it doesn't feel good, that you have the right to use free will to change your directory, to say, the way I'm showing up isn't working anymore, and now I get to change it. I think it's really funny when people show up to their lives and they feel like they have to behave and they have to do it the right way because somebody else told them what way was expected of them, and they just completely surrender it and they go, okay, I'll do that. Because the millennial generation and the generation beneath that, they're not wired that way. They're wired to remember more of their free will choices than any generation that's come to Earth. So get ready, because there's a lot of people on Earth this go around with this eye-opening, I have choices. And a lot of rules are going to change. And the whole judgment part, that's not going to go well with people. Because the kids are going to teach you how to just be with it and make choices that work for you. Use your free will.
Does our higher consciousness choose events in our life to benefit another higher consciousness that is not part of our soul wheel or soul family? So in other words, would somebody...
It can, but that's not common.
Okay.
Because a lot of it is a collaboration. And so if the other one is not collaborating, then it's not quite necessary.
Okay.
Because energy is connectivity. And so if even though it's all connected, if something is brewing or rising over here and you're doing your own thing, it's not necessary to feed it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think you said in one of your episodes, was that season 2, I believe, where you talked more in depth about this. We released a season 2 about reincarnation in soul individuations. That this wheel concept of of time in our lives, some of the spokes are connected to another wheel.
Yes.
Yes. So in effect, that is possibly when somebody is connected, or it is connected in a chain in some way.
Yes.
Okay.
Which could be called a soul family.
Soul family. Right.
But like your incarnation of now and your incarnation of 1400s actually can have different soul family members.
That's another episode.
Okay.
Yeah, this is another. This may or may not make the cut. Do we have members of our soul family or of our higher consciousness, the individuations, existing concurrently with each other? So could Colin and I actually be part of the same higher consciousness?
Yes.
That's
So you could possibly find yourself on Earth.
Gotta think of a punchline for that.
Because, well, we're all from the same energy source, so it's like we're all really ourselves anyways, but it gets way deep.
So I'm going to present a scenario.
Okay.
And it's totally fictional.
Okay.
Before I come here, I meet with a spirit counselor.
Mhm.
So I meet with Grace.
Okay.
And we go over some things that I'm going to experience in this lifetime,
Okay.
right? Called a contract, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm creating this
An
contract,
agreement.
an agreement with Grace to experience certain things in my life, emotions, lessons, experiences, and then I come to this life and I get a life. I'm going to say, like, I meet, I don't know how to phrase this.
You meet a drummer in a band and you run off with him.
Yes. He is my twin flame. And that was part of my contract. I'm so glad you just did that. But I get my free will involved. He gets his free will involved. And all of a sudden, that contract is blown to pieces because he's going this way, I'm going this way. And then life just turns into this free will extravaganza.
Yes.
Okay. So from what I'm hearing you say, then you come back to experience those things that you chose not to do through free will, even though you weren't choosing that. Does that make?
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to form the question around my free will and someone else's free will impacts.
Yes, they can
my
impact.
contract and my free will.
Yep.
Okay.
But see, there's also recovery periods too. So let's say the drummer, he implodes, he puts his free will in, that challenges your plans that you've made prior, and they crumble. And so he disappears. And so you're not just left cut loose and free floating so that every choice from there forward is free will. Destiny, lessons, plans, contracts, agreements, whatever you want to call them, they can come back and circle back around and circle back around.
So that you're answering what I wanted to ask, really. It's like, does life still present you?
Yeah.
But who's doing that?
Who's doing it?
Doing
You.
that through my own energy?
Yep.
Because you're saying no one else rules us whatsoever.
Yep. You've got this beacon, this like antenna and this light, and your thoughts and your actions are doing like the law of attraction, and they're pulling these people in, and then you're participating and creating. So all of a sudden you're back on it to where those things that you wanted to experience, they've recreated and come back to your life.
And that's
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Even if you had the argument with the drummer and the drummer left and it didn't go well and you really wanted to argue it in a different way and make it more like conclusive or more healing and more loving, you could go into another relationship that implodes almost the same exact way to give you the opportunity of how to resolve it.
Oh, well, that's exactly what I was going to point out, is how the universe will, how you see the same people going through the same cycles
things
over and over again. And that's basically because they're not getting it, right? Is that what you would say? They're not getting that part of their contract. So it's going to keep coming back to them until they get it in this lifetime.
They are going to decide to continue to redo it until they get it.
Yes.
But there's also people out there that say, can I use my free will to break my contract or just decide that it's over and I'm not going to do it in this life because it's too hard?
Yeah.
Do you think that works?
No.
You say no? What do you say?
I mean, I think it works, but I think you're going to have to replay it again in another lifetime.
You'll totally have to play it again in another lifetime.
So, yes, it works, but no, it's not an effective way to do things.
The reset button.
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't that funny? I like listening to people on Earth. I use my free will to stop this. It is over. I've made the choice. And I'm like, okay. So you're just going to shut it down. And you're going to spend way more energy in shutting it down, and trying to control rather than just living a life of ease and leaning into the difficult part and seeing what it has to show you.
But that stressor at the same time could be part of your soul contract. So you could still be living it out. It just really depends, and I guess you won't really know until the next lifetime.
That's
right?
true. Yep.
Last question, I think, because then we have to wrap it up. Are lower vibration entities part of our soul contract? So, in other words, our relationship with them, or are they kind of interrupters? Are they on a...
Oh.
So, I mean, just because I know that there's all these other kind of forces that are at play. That are they variables, or are they part of of our soul contract?
It's both. So you can put them into your contract as people use them as motivators, as highlighters to make change, to understand better boundaries, to grow, all of this. There's always many ways to look at one thing. But then there are people who take the path of oblivious, where they're just trucking along and they are just going to say everything is fine. I'm not really going to. I'm just not going to. And so that kind of energy, these lower vibration entities kind of feed off of it. And so, but that's another conversation too. That can lead to all kinds of disconnections and misalignments and addictions and all kinds of things. So we have to be very aware of how you take care of the physical body, how you take care of the mental body, how you take care of the emotional body, and to take care of the energetic body. Lumineers, I hope it helped you understand free will and how you can use it and how it is not frowned upon and that everything in your making belongs to you. It's not governed by something larger. So you are going to have the hard conversation with yourself. So let's go ahead and start doing it now while you're on Earth. Do the work, Lumineers. Just go do the work. My name is Maitland, and I approve of this message.
Thanks, Maitland.
Thank you.
You're welcome.